right, lovely Monday morning to you, the 7th day of March 2022. This is Victim Voices. This program is supported by the Prisoners Rehabilitation and Welfare Action Power and the International Rehabilitation Council for Torture Victims, IRCT. This program is geared at looking at the issues of torture, the convention which the treaty which Nigeria is a signatory to, and also tend to look at how far we've gone when it comes to handling the issue of torture. Are we doing enough? Is the government doing enough? What else can we do to make sure that torture is reduced to the barest minimum? My name is Ifeanyi Awa, and on this week's edition of the program, I'm going to be speaking with Barrister Chioma Anonai. She's the Senior Program Officer and Head of Prawa Office in Enugu. She's on the line. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning, listeners.
Good morning to you. Now, I want us to start on this very note. In terms of the issue of torture, the last 2 weeks, we've looked at the treaty, which Nigeria is a signatory to. We've also talked about what Nigeria has done in terms of this. Sorry for that. Now, let us look at the situation in respect to torture in Nigeria, the Nigerian situation. What is it like at the moment?
Okay. At the moment, I understand that this program has discussed the ratification of international instruments and all whatnot. At the moment, following the ratification of those international instruments, we have what is called the Anti-Torture Act of 2017, which went ahead to criminalize acts of torture by public officials. And these public officials include law enforcement agents, like we have the police and etc. And notwithstanding the coming into force of that Anti-Torture Act, the issues of torture or use of torture as a crime-solving tool by law enforcement agents has also remained in force, notwithstanding that. And there have been several complaints. Even the Committee Against Torture, in its concluding observation last year in November, after reviewing Nigeria, also came to the conclusion that acts of torture have continued to exist in the country, notwithstanding having instruments in place, having laws in place that act to deter torture, and urged Nigeria, advised Nigeria to take necessary steps to ensure that those acts of torture, and even went on to advise Nigeria to make sure that in their next report they give instances of cases where these laws have been implemented, specific instances of cases where these laws have been implemented in court. Now, let me move down to pointing out those things that we have done that are not being followed. For instance, I talked about the Anti-Torture Act, which criminalized acts of torture. And this act also went ahead to give the mandates to the Attorney General to make rules and regulations for the effective implementation of this act, the Anti-Torture Act. You know that most times when you make laws, there is need for rules and regulations that will aid the implementation of that law. There are instances in some of our laws, but these rules and regulations are yet to be made. They have not come into force. Now, we have the Administration of Criminal Justice Act and laws for states that have also domesticated the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. And some of the provisions of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act provide safeguards against the use of torture. There are specific provisions that try to ensure that acts of torture, that persons in custody do not suffer acts of torture. For instance, there is a requirement for video record or audio-visual recording of volunteered confessional statements. Note the use of the word volunteered confessional statements.
Okay.
Because for you to say that a confessional statement is voluntary, you must not have been coerced. The person must not have suffered some form of harm or injury for you to be able to elicit those confessions from that person. So, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act provides that where a suspect has volunteered to give confessional statements, there must be audio-visual recordings of those him making those statements. And then he has to also have a legal practitioner of his own choice present while making those statements. These are hardly things implemented by law enforcement agencies. Part of the reasons could be also lack of the resources, the availability of the facilities for those audio, ensuring the audiovisual recording.
All right.
Now, the Evidence Act also went ahead to make inadmissible evidence obtained through torture. So when police comes to tender evidence in court that has been obtained through torture, the Evidence Act makes such evidence inadmissible. There are also other safeguards that are in our laws, in the administration of criminal justice law, that go to ensure that persons in custody are not, for instance, the requirement for not having a person more than 48 hours before the person is taken to court, the requirement of informing the person of the right to legal representation,
Mm-hmm.
and the person knows that he has a right to legal representation. And even the Anti-Torture Act also has also gone ahead to make a provision that a person that is in custody and is being questioned has a right to request for medical examination.
Okay. Now, if I may come in here,
Yeah.
everything you've said are things. A couple of things to say. We know. Someone once said that Nigeria, when it comes to the laws Nigeria has, we have laws that are beautiful. When you look at them, theoretically they're beautiful, but practically, when it comes to practicing it or carrying out, executing those laws, it becomes an issue. We live in a society. I want to bring this back into the society. We live in a society where talk about security agencies. There is this fear.
Mhm.
There is this fear among. There's this lack of trust between the security agencies and the and the Nigerian citizens, because we feel it's a normal thing for torture to happen. Now, let me give a very good example. The Nigerian army have had
Mhm.
situations. There's been cases where citizens have been maltreated by officers of the army, and a lot of persons are scared of them. Now, my question now is, with all these things being done and we still laws are there, but we keep having incidents of torture happening here and there, because it doesn't have to do with you being arrested. It could be on the street. Persons are being beaten
Yeah.
on the street by
Mhm.
security agents. My question is,
Mhm.
what other policy, or is it that we don't have enough policy or enough will to push this so that this incident stop happening?
Yeah, it all boils down to the will to push them. We have enough policies, we have enough laws, implementation. For instance, all the things I talked about. Imagine where a scenario where all those are being implemented. Now, part of the recommendations that were made is the fact that there should be training and retraining of these law enforcement. I bet you that some of these law enforcement agencies, they are not even aware of the existence of the Anti-Torture Act, the
Hmm.
provisions of the Anti-Torture Act. Some of them are not aware of a number of things. Okay, there is an argument about the provision of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, whether because the Act used the word may, that the law enforcement agency may record, may have a presence of the legal practitioner. Some of them that become aware of it tell you that he said may, so at their discretion that they
You
can
can, yeah.
if they want to or they cannot. But there are all court judgments that have said that the intendment of the act is not that if the word may is interpreted as discretionary, as the discretion of the law enforcement agency, then the intendment it will not achieve the intendment of the act, because the act intends to cure that mischief of the use of torture to elicit confessional statements. So if it's made, then the law enforcement. Some of these things are, it boils down to awareness and then the willingness of the persons in charge to make sure that these things are come to actualization. And it also boils down to awareness on the part of citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us don't know about the existence of all these things. Some of us don't know about our rights. Some of us don't know that we should not, this should not be done to us. Some of us don't even know some of don't even know about there is
Now,
a fundamental rights enforcement procedure rule. Some of us don't even know that you can go to court to enforce your rights
yeah.
when you have been tortured. Some of us don't know, are not aware of these things. So these are part of the problem.
Now, we are going to look at what citizens can do when they go through torture. But if you're just tuning in, this is Victims' Voices, and it comes your way every Monday from 9:30. It is brought to you by the Prisoners Rehabilitation and Welfare Action, which is PROWA, and also it is also with the support of the International Rehabilitation Council for Torture Victims (IRCT). My name is Fanyawa, and I'm speaking with Barrister Chioma Anona, who is the Senior Programs Officer and Head of PROWA Office in Enugu. We're looking at the Nigerian situation in respect to torture, and we're looking at what we see around us and what is there as it is. Now, don't forget, this program is interactive. In case you have comments, you want to ask questions pertaining to this, you can always call 0808 182 6949 or 0811 605 2949, or send an SMS to 0906 510 8289. Barrister Chioma, let's go back to our conversation. Now, I know that there are what you call disciplinary committees set up, disciplinary panels in different security agencies that take care of issues in terms of torture or when citizens are manhandled by security agents. But on very few occasions are the measures taken by these security outfits made public. Don't you think it brings about lack of trust that even if we report, that something will be done about this?
Yeah, that has been part of the clamor. The issue of not making public the disciplinary measures taken against law enforcement agents who have been found guilty of committing acts of torture, because it goes a lot to the root of public confidence. You all agree with me that of late there is lack of public confidence when it comes to law enforcement agents. Most people don't trust that they can get what they are supposed to get from law enforcement agents. So the issue of making, and this is part of the recommendation made by the committee to Nigeria, that these cases of persons and even implementation of the recommendations of the various panels that we have set up from the NSAS saga, that this should be made public, and punishment for those officers that have been alleged to have been found or that have been found guilty should be made public, so that public confidence, and this is part of what can regain the public confidence in the police. By the time they see that, okay, these persons, they are alleged to have committed acts of torture and the investigations have been carried out and they have been found guilty and they have been punished, the Anti-Torture Act says 25 years. And when it's murder, when the person that was inflicted with acts of torture died, it's a crime of murder, and we know the punishment in the criminal code is treated as murder. It should be treated as the person, as the police officer in charge has committed an act of murder, and we know the punishment is capital offense. So by the time all these things are implemented, it's just a case of impunity. If we work towards removing these issues of impunity, I bet you that we are going to be in a better place in this country, because public confidence will be restored, and law enforcement agencies will also be deterred from using acts of torture. Some of them do acts, okay, if you say we don't, and genuinely, not like they are being sarcastic or something. Genuinely, some of them don't know other ways to go about solving crime. Solving crime. Genuinely, I tell you, genuinely, not that they are being sarcastic. There are also international instruments regarding that. These are things that we should incorporate in the trade agencies. We need to channel the resources to the proper places, to the right places,
all right,
so that these issues that we are having will be solved.
Now, I want to ask a question, and also if you've had any issue of maybe torture, or maybe you've been brutalized by security agents. Because last week, while speaking with Honest Ofor, he did mention that according to the international treaty, that torture is classified as torture when it's performed by what you call it, agents or office or government officials. I think I'm talking about security agents and yes, public officials. Yeah. So if you've been a victim of torture, maybe you've been brutalized by a security agent, or maybe even if it's as simple as a slap, which some people might say, okay, just a slap, you're free to call in, and maybe you do not know what to do or where to go to, what to do as a citizen. She can also respond to you. 0808 182 6949. That is the phone number to call. 0808 182 6949 or 0811 605 2949. Now, I was going to ask, just to make clear, what can also go as torture. We've seen situations where, maybe a community kills a military officer, and there is a retaliatory measure where that particular community is just in a bid to particularly catch those who committed this crime. You see things like a house has been burnt, some other person being shot by allegedly being shot by these military officers. Are we putting that as also torture?
No, you see, the definition of torture is an act by which pain, suffering, physical or mental health is intentionally inflicted on a person.
Okay.
To obtain information or confession from that person or from a third person, or to punish him for an act he or a third person has committed or is suspected to have committed, or to intimidate or coerce him or a third person for any reason based on any discrimination of any kind. So to punish him now, there is what we call the First Order 637 that guides the use of force and firearms by law enforcement agencies, and it makes provision for a number of things. And part of what it's talking about is the use of what they call the plan principle. Plan principle P is that act of force that was used. Was it proportional to the danger that is coming? Is it legal? Can that law enforcement officer account for it? Because there must be accountability for use of force or firearm by every law enforcement state. And then, is it necessary at that point in time? So the question about it is, when that imminent danger has ceased to exist, can you say that act was necessary and proportional at that particular point in time? I don't know if you get what
I understand you.
At that particular point in time, law enforcement agents are authorized to use force and firearms in self-defense.
Okay.
If there is no other means that they have to defend themselves or to defend other people.
All right.
And in using that force in self-defense, it has to be proportionate to the attack that is coming. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
I understand.
In self-defense. So if it's not in self-defense, there are also other instances in which they can, if a person, to arrest a person that is fleeing, but not somebody that has picked pockets.
All right. Barrister, just hold on to your thoughts a bit. Let's see if we can take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning to you. Your name and location?
My name is Kemjika Bright.
All right. All right. What are you calling from?
I'm calling from Afadugu, Ojo.
All right. And Kemjika, go on with your question or contribution, please.
Yes, my contribution to this thought is the first military opportunity have been, on my way to somewhere, they brutalized me, they slapped me.
You in the military?
Here, one of my brothers, they shot him and killed him here in Afadugu, and the government hides the policeman that shot him. These people cannot be holding arms on the road anyhow. I'm terrorizing everybody that is going their road.
All right.
Even when you don't have anything in your pocket, they will try to search you. and brutalize you on the way.
Nkemjika,
It's not right.
Nkemjika, can I ask where this thing happened? Where did it happen?
This thing happened in Afara Oriogu. My junior brother, a policeman shot him dead.
When was this? When did it happen?
2 years ago.
3 years ago.
2 years.
2 years ago. Okay, so you reported to the where did you report to actually?
So the government is very bad. When these people do this thing on the way, they will not bring these people out. They will hide them.
All right.
They promise us that they will fetch him out anywhere he runs to because he shot my brother and run away.
All right. Okay, we can just keep listening. All right. Thank you very much. Now, Barrister, he talked about a situation which has gone through. Unfortunately, he's alleging that his younger brother was shot by a police officer while on the way. They were on the way, and I seem to have an issue with. Because he's talking about the government letting the person go or doing nothing about it. But let's look at the issue of what can citizens do when they go through torture.
Okay. First of all, let's note the fact that when someone has been tortured, the person has a right to complain.
Okay.
First of all, so you don't say it has happened. Did he mention if they laid a complaint somewhere?
Yeah,
and nothing was done.
He kept saying, because I kept asking and he wasn't answering. He kept saying that the government, hid the issue. They kept telling him that they were going to do something about it, but nothing was done. That's what he kept saying. So I was asking where it happened, but he kept mentioning the government.
Yeah, the government is a broad. It's broad. Which particular, So we have the National Human Rights Commission. Yeah. We have the National Human Rights Commission that has the mandate to deal with all matters relating to the protection of human rights. And there is a right, we have the fundamental right against torture. So the National Human Rights Commission has the mandate to look into such matter and make recommendations to the government regarding such matter. And then the National Human, even by the amendments made in 2010 to the Act of the National Human Rights Commission Act, now gave the National Human Rights Commission the quasi-judicial power to summon persons to acquire evidence and to award compensation and enforce decisions regarding issues around human rights. All
right. Now, I don't know if time will permit us to take any more calls this morning. But Barrister Choma Anona is who I've been speaking with. She's a senior program officer and head of Prawa office in Enugu. I'll be looking at the situation of touch. But Barrister, before I let you go, on a very honest note, should we have hope when it comes to the issue of torture in Nigeria? Security agents using torture. Should there be hope that at some point in time this would end?
Yes. We should have hope. There should be hope. Because the last time the Committee Against Torture reviewed Nigeria, the Nigerian delegation was there. There should be hope that in little or no time, or in some time, these issues of torture, because there are some issues that have come up, and we think in Nigeria that it would not be solved. And at some point, there are things that have happened. Look at what happened during the NSAS period. I'm sure before now, nobody knew that people could come out to demonstrate against such issues. But there is hope.
All right. All right.
There's hope. We as Prawa, we are working towards ensuring that the Nigerian government abides by the recommendations of the Committee Against Torture. And if you look at what those recommendations are, if we take a step to do 70% of them, then the problems we are having will reduce drastically regarding torture by law enforcement.
All right. Thank you very much, Barrister Choma Anona, Senior Program Officer and Head of Prawa Office in Enugu. This one will come back your way to next week, Monday, 9:30. And don't forget, it's open. If you have complaints of torture, you've gone through torture, we are open to hear from you. It's not about torture. We want to find ways of bringing this to an end. We are a signatory to the treaty, and that means that Nigeria as a country is against torture. So we want to do all we can to bring this to an end. And of course, this program is brought to you by the Prisoners Rehabilitation and Welfare Action Power, and also International Rehabilitation Council for Torture Victims, IRCT. My name is Ifeanyi Awa. Thanks for being with me. Coming up next is a platform with Michael Oni. Do stay tuned.